Hey honey, watch today Midgard. My name is Michelle from Throw Once Another Letter. Hello and welcome back to my channel. Today's video is if books were Batfam. I was tagged by Margaret from The Word Nerd, and so we have all of these Batfam characters and then you recommend a book, and I am so excited. Let's get into it. So the first one we have is Nightwing. Recommend a book that is your favorite first book in a series, and for this one I would have to say Aru Shah and the End of Time by Roshni Chokshi. And this is about Aru, who is this hilarious funny girl, and I'm not gonna lie, she's a little bit of she tends to lie a lot, but that's just because she's trying to fit in. She awakens a sleeper demon, and she finds out that she is a reincarnation of a Pandava brother. She gets to meet her Pandava sister, and together they embark on an adventure to put things together, figure stuff out, and it is just absolutely amazing. The second character we have is Oracle. Recommend your favorite futuristic or science fiction novel, and for this one I would have to say Nnedi Okorafor writes an amazing book, and that is Remote Control. I loved this book. I had so much issue with, I had no idea what time period we were in. I had no idea how far technology has advanced. There's some things that I personally don't like about science fiction that I cannot grasp my mind around, but it also had these mythology, folk tale feelings, and I really appreciated it for what it was, and I enjoyed it nonetheless. And I read this for Toy.com-a-thon, and it was super duper fun. So Red Hood is the next character, and it says book that was better the second time, and for that I would have to say Heartbeat Braves by Pamela Sanderson. Heartbeat Braves is about this woman, and she works in an urban Indian services office, and she really wants to she likes to kind of have order, I guess, and they've been having issues at this office because they have moved from different locations. There's a lot of red tape to try to get different locations. They want to be more accessible to other urban natives. But also there's a romance because one of the workers, he brings in his nephew. So since this new guy is there, she doesn't like him at first. He tries to help, and eventually they start to get to know each other. Things get very romantic very fast. Now there were some jokes in the book that I was supposed to relate to as a native person, but some of the sexual dialogue is a little clunky and it's a little like icky, but I really enjoy this series as a whole. So this next one we have is Red Robin, low-key book that wowed you. And for this one I would have to give it to Sleeping Around by Morgan Vega. Now Morgan Vega is actually a part of the BookTube book sphere, and I got to read an advanced copy of this and I absolutely loved it. It's about this girl who's in the foster care system, and she is very close to aging out and going to college, and she's kind of worried about how that's gonna go. She's very independent, very much I don't need anybody. She lives in this house and she's got a few foster siblings and she loves them so much, she cares for them deeply, and once she gets to college things are kind of wonky. First off, the sleeping arrangement, the dorm that she was supposed to be staying in, that's not a thing. Secondly, the dorm that she ends up getting to stay in she's the third roommate, and then there's issues with like a boy, but she kind of slowly learns that she can ask for help, and that is what I loved about the book. The next prompt that we have is Orphan. Rec a book that you wish more people talked about, and for this one I would have to give it to Res Dog by Joseph Bruchac. So Res Dogs by Joseph Bruchac is a story about this girl, and it is told during the pandemic and during the worst parts of it. Malian, her parents are essential workers, they're doctors, and so she is sent to her grandparents in the on the reservation, and she learns to try to navigate her life without her parents, and her grandfather is like telling her stories every once in a while, and she meets this dog named Malsum, and Malsum, he is chill, doesn't come in the house though, he just stays outside and he keeps watch, and she like talks to him, and her and her grandpa spend a lot of time together, and she's very grown up for her age. She's about, I want to say she's like 12, 13 years old. And I remember thinking to myself, like, wow, she knows way too much for her age. But I couldn't help think to myself, wow, she is saved from all of this stuff, like knowing all this. And but I really loved this story because she's learned to be so mature at such a young age, and also just because of the way it's told. And Joseph Bruchac really knows how to weave a story together. Alright, next we have is Batgirl, book you're glad you got spoiled for. And for this one, I would have to say When Dimple Met Rishi by Sanjay Menon. And the reason why is because a lot of people always complain about how Dimple treats Rishi, but I really enjoyed the book because you get to see more of her perspective on why she doesn't want to be within this arranged marriage, why she doesn't want to be betrothed, why she wants to live her life for herself, but also knowing like Desi culture and how families are, you know, why certain things have to be the way they are. And I enjoyed this because Sanjay Menon always puts out a good book. So the next one we have is Robin, a character you didn't like at first. And for me, that is Rachel from Tell Me How You Really Feel by Amina Maysafi. Now, this is supposed to be like a Paris Rory. She's so rude, but it's just because she's got such a hard shell. And once she softens to I can't remember the other character's name, but once she softens to her, you can definitely see like her more sweet side, and I still really enjoyed the book. So next we have is Batwoman, recommend a book or character that challenges gender roles. And for this one, I would have to say check please. I loved this book because you have this sweet being character, and he's supposed to be playing this like rough and tumble game, but he's just this sweet little gay bean who likes to bake. And then like I really loved his character. Like Biddy is absolutely adorable, and you see like the other players so masculine and they look so just like beefy, but inside they're like little soft boys. And you see like definitely a couple of characters that are like, you see the softness with them, and I love that about books, is when you see like this big beefy like brawny character, and inside they're just like Kronk. Okay, that is what I'm thinking. Like, Kronk looks like he could snap you in half, but he's just like, my spinach puffs. Alright, so the next one we have is Batwing. Recommend a new favorite. And this one is Icebreaker by A.L. Grassaday. And I absolutely loved it. It has such, like, it's about hockey, and there's anxiety representation, and I just really enjoyed this for cuteness. So I love how Mickey is such a brat, and then you have Jason who is just like, yeah, I'm not dealing with that, and they have this like little enemies to lovers ally thing going on, and it's just spectacular. So for the next one, obviously Batman would be nothing without Alfred Pennyworth, and that is recommend a book that's always there for you. And for this one, I would have to say Percy Jackson and the Lightning Thief. Now, when I read Percy Jackson for the very first time, I was going through a very rough time in my life, and every time I find a favorite, it's because I was going through difficult times in my life, and it was just something that got me through, that got me looking forward to it, and that was definitely Percy Jackson for me. The next prompt we have is Catwoman. Recommend a book that's stolen your heart, and that is Firekeeper's Daughter by Angeline Boulet. And oh my gosh, I loved this book. It does have hockey in it too, but it's also about botany and medicine and your culture, and just there's a mystery and corruption, and I just really enjoyed it for Donis. Like, Donis is sporty, but she's also funny, and she's also very well educated within her culture. And the last but not least, we have OG Batman. Recommend a book that got you into reading. Now, I obviously cannot, I'm not going to be recommending like more of my childhood favorites. Actually, what I'm going to be recommending is Alana the Lioness by Tamora Pierce. And I read this, again, at a very rough time in my life. I actually was gifted this by my former roommate, but he's one of my very good friends, and that is my friend Andy. Andy bought this series for me for my birthday, and shortly after I had a miscarriage, and that was one of the more awful times in my life, and reading this book just gave me something to look forward to, like I said, and I was so, it was just enchanting. So it does challenge gender roles, and I love how like badass she is. She very much reminds me of Brienne from the Game of Thrones. So that is all we have for today. I will leave the prompts in the description down below. Make sure you like and subscribe, and make sure you share this video. I would love to see some of your answers in the comments, or if you decide to do this tag, please let me know how it went for you, and or like send me the link so that way I can watch it too. And that is all for me today, and I hope that you're doing well and you're having a wonderful day. Bye.
I don't like it. I don't like it.
Cut the check. Cut the check.
Get that bitch off the monitor.
Where's my husband?